What's up, everybody? Welcome into this episode of the Rapala Collegiate Bass Podcast. We're getting ready to head to Lake Dardanelle, Russellville, Arkansas, stop 2 of the 24-25 Bass Pro Shops Collegiate Bass Fishing Series, the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open, to take place October 12th and 13th there. Joining us today on the show, Mat Higby. Him and his partner, John Foster Case, registered to compete this weekend, won the event in 2022. They fish for Arkansas Tech University right there close in Russellville, so they're plugged in. They know what's going on around the lake. Matt, real quick, let's just start right off. Fall fishing. Years past, we've talked about it. We had an article on our website, collegiatebaschampionship.com, in the fall in Arkansas. Especially, there's always a saying, wait 5 minutes. If you don't like the weather, it'll change. Well, every year it's different. This year it's staying warm. What are you seeing in terms of the warmer weather and how these fish are setting up, if it's having any impact at all?
I don't really think it's having any effect at all. It's kind of been the same pattern over the last month. They haven't really changed a lot. We had one cold snap about, I want to say it was 3 weeks ago. And it kind of pushed the shad out in the middle of the river, and there's fish everywhere right now. There really is. And the lake's super healthy, so I'm excited for this tournament for sure.
Yeah, talk about it real quick. It's easy for me to say, but for y'all being out there and fishing, throughout practice, the weather's remaining pretty consistent as well as during the tournament. And as you just mentioned, it's kind of been the same rinse and repeat forecast for a good little while now. What does that do for your confidence, your game planning, your strategy going into a tournament when you know that really there's not a lot that's going to change, that if you can find them, you can run a pattern and keep it going for 2 days?
Yeah, so that's always helpful when you have the same weather conditions, and I think the wind's even going to blow the same direction. So it's always helpful when that happens, so you don't have anything change and none of your conditions change. But this lake is very different from any other lake. So if you catch them on Saturday, if you catch them in one spot, there's a good chance that they're not going to be there on Sunday. So I would be open to adapting and trying new stuff and having a plan B, C, and D maybe.
Let's talk a little bit about the lake, how it sets up, strategy, game plan in this next series of questions. I know last year when we spoke with you guys leading up to the 23 event, you were stating that the lake was pretty stable. It was healthy, maybe getting a little bit more vegetation back, which is helping to clean up the water, some of which, Dardanelle, Arkansas River, for those that don't know, water comes in from all over the place, and with just a little bit of rain, it can get dirty really fast. So talk a little bit about the conditions, water clarity, and how the lake's setting up. Is it kind of similar to last year, maybe even better, or regressed a little bit?
So as far as water clarity goes, you're going to see about the same water clarity as there was last year, but the lake is just so healthy right now. It's healthier than it was last year, and it's getting better every day. The amount of vegetation that has grown over the last year it's wild, and you can really see it in the weights on Lake Dardanelle through all tournaments this year. I haven't fished in a tournament this year where I think that it's took under 17 pounds to win. And it just keeps getting better. The fish are a lot healthier. You're catching more sizable fish than before. And, we had that big flood in 2019, and the grass is just starting to come back. And we've got every kind of vegetation. If you want to fish, if you got a certain thing that you want to fish, there's probably going to be bass in it. So just pick your poison and go fish it. But it's crazy. I think that next year you're going to see some really big weights out of this tournament, and even this year, I think that somebody will definitely weigh in a 17-pound bag.
We posted we got an e-blast and went out here this week with the lake preview and went back and looked at some of the past winning weights, and it's taken anywhere from about 24 to 28 pounds for a 2-day total the last couple years, that last 5-year stretch, of which I believe one of those winning weights was anchored by like a 19-pound bag on day one. So they swim in there. There's some good quality and quantity of bass, as you were talking about. Something that I like is the lake's located along the highway, and you drive over the lake and you look, and Lake Dardanelle, just on the onset and looking at it, it just looks fishy, right? And you're talking about all this grass and vegetation that's going to line the shoreline. It just adds to that. So talking about cover, fall of the year, everything that's present in the lake really probably is fair game right now, as you mentioned, whether it's flooded wood, the rock and riprap banks that are all over the place, the shallow vegetation. Kind of talk a little bit about the cover and how each of those might play a factor this weekend.
Yeah, so right now the lake's good from dam to dam. So if you want to go all the way to Ozark, you can fish jetties. Lots of laydowns up there you can fish. There's not as much grass up there, but there's still a ton of fish up there. I mean, we fished a sandbar up there that we caught 100 off of the other day. So I mean, there's fish all the way up and down the lake. Like I said, there's more hard stuff up towards Ozark, and when you come back down here towards Russellville, and especially the Spadra area, there's more grass in that area. So there's a lot like water willow and milfoil and coontail, really, and a lot of lily pads too. They're coming back as well. But there's a lot more vegetation from Russellville to Spadra. But if you go farther up, it's more jetties and laydowns and stuff like that.
It's definitely a fun place to fish. I like it in terms of this event is college. We're coming from all over the place. We've had teams come from as far as California, regularly from Michigan, even Florida. And if there's something that you want to do, there's a different particular way that you want to fish, you're able to go out there and do it, which is well suited. And in terms of cover, you can cover it all. Baits, I feel like the same applies. I'll ask you this, and is there any one thing that you're going to target in terms of having tied on in specific tactics, or is it anything and everything goes in the tackle box from topwater to finesse to a big jig, whatever it might be? Kind of talk about baits and presentations that would work right now as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's another thing like that. You can pick your poison here. Literally, whatever you want to throw, you can catch them on here. But this year, it's setting up different than it was last year. To me personally, like I said, the lake's a lot healthier. I'm really gonna key on throwing a topwater this year and trying to get a big bite. But like I said, I think somebody's gonna weigh in a 17-pound bag this year. It's been a long time. I think the last one was 18 pounds. It was my first year that I fished the AFTCO since we've had a big bag like that weighed in. And I'm gonna throw a topwater for the majority of both moorings of this tournament and see if I can't make that happen. But like the brush pile bite's really good right now too. So if you want to throw a 3/4 ounce jig, you can do that as well. Shaky head, whatever you want to throw. But you can literally do whatever you want here and catch them.
Game planning and strategy. River fisheries can be easy and difficult at the same time. You find an area where the fish are in and they're in there and you can stay all tournament and get the job done, or they're spread out and it's one here and one there. What would you say to somebody that's coming in? Maybe they're coming for the first time or they're not familiar with Lake Dardanelle in general and they're wanting to strategize how to go attack the lake. Are they better off running all over the place and finding a bunch of bites, or kind of locking down and when you get around them, stay around them and figure out how to make them bite?
You always hear don't leave fish to go find fish, but that's really true for here. If you find them, you better lock down and catch them because they're probably not going to be there the next day. They may, but I always just assume that they're not going to be there the next day. So if I get on them, I catch as many as I possibly can that day, especially if there's some good ones in there. But yeah, don't leave your fish to go find fish, especially during the tournament. What I would say for people coming from far off is this is your first time here. Just be very careful running the river. It's a dangerous place. There's a lot of sandbars that don't show it on your graph. The river changes every single year. There's islands sticking out of the water where there wasn't last year, and we haven't even had a big flood. So just be careful when you're running down the river. There's no buoys under the water right now that I know of particularly. So you don't have to watch out for those, but just be careful when you're running in that shallower water. And like I said, it's a dangerous place. But if you do have any issues, it's where I'll work, Horizon Track and Marine there in Clarksville. If you do have any issues, we'll be open all week. So come on down there if you have any issues, and we can definitely help you out.
Good advice there. Definitely stuff to look out for. Running a river, being smart, being safe. If you tear up your equipment, you can't make it back to weigh in your fish. I talk about that at each tournament meeting. So good words of advice there to keep an eye out as you're running around on Lake Dardanelle this weekend. We're talking with Mat Higby, former winner of the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open just a few years ago, competes for Arkansas Tech University located there in Russellville. Yourself, last year, maybe didn't back up a winning performance quite the way that you hoped. Talk a little bit about how it went last year and maybe something that you learned to build off of to try and not have that same result this go around.
So last year I took a different tactic at it. and then I didn't have a good finish last year. But I told John, I was like, we always catch big ones in practice. Why don't we just not practice this year and see how it goes? It did not work. So it really showed that it didn't work too. We did not have a good finish last year, but we're going to fish a little bit this week, and hopefully we can stay on them. We've had a pretty good couple weeks out here, so hopefully we can catch them this year, and I'd love to win another one before I leave out of here.
We're talking winning weights in the years past. Like I said, average is somewhere between 12 to 14 pounds a day, whether that's 9 and 6 or however the math works out, depending on no matter how it shakes out. If you can get 12 to 14 pounds a day, as we've shown over the last couple of years, that's going to have you in the running, if not a shot at winning. What are you thinking it's going to take? Is it something now, too, you're talking 17, 18-pound bags? Is that if someone catches one, are they going to be able to go out and do it 2 days in a row, or will you be able to back it up with a good limit, and that would be enough to get the job done? Talk winning weights and your projections.
So it's a good possibility that someone, if they caught 17 on day one, it's a possibility they could catch 17 on day two as well, and that's normally not the case here. But I'm thinking this year that it's going to take right around 30 pounds to win, and that's 15 a day. I'm thinking that's a good weight to look at for a winning weight this year, and I think that next year, if we don't have another flood, I'm thinking 34 next year. I don't think we're at that point yet where there's going to be consistently, you can see 17-pound bags a day, but it's definitely a possibility this year. I don't know if it'll happen this year or not, but I'm thinking it will happen next year. But I'm thinking 30 this year is what we're going to look at.
30 pounds would be a big number for sure. Would love to see it come across the scales and get it weighed in there at Lake Dardanelle State Park, where we'll be in just a couple days for the AFTCO Collegiate Bass Open. That was our conversation and interview with Matt, a member of the Arkansas Tech University bass fishing team, as well as a former winner of this tournament, looking to go get the title for a second time in the last 3 years here at competition in just a few days. Thanks, sir, for joining us here. Be safe out there during practice, and we'll see you at the registration meeting.
See you there.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT, too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man. If you
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.